Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Sarvalokanam Vishaje Bhavaroginam Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Let's start with this story. Long time ago, maybe an eternity ago, we just have to give some context, maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago. Before there was any creation, there was just consciousness. The consciousness had no name, no form, no quality. It was just there. We can't say any other way, so we call it it. It so happened that a thought arose in this consciousness to say that why everything looks only one way. Let there be some variety. And from that intention, from that desire, came Brahma, the creator. The creator was given the skill and the resources and the time to create. So, the first manifestation of Prakriti was Brahma. Now, once Brahma became available, then one became two. So, they had to separate. So, they called that as the Purusha, and this became Prakriti. Brahma is part of the Prakriti. And thus the manifested creation started. As his first project, Brahma created a set of extremely intelligent, highly evolved human beings. Well, you can't call them human beings, they are beings. There were 13 of them. And the first four were called the Sanat Kumaras. You heard these. Sanaka, Sanat Kumara, and that four young teenage monks who never go beyond that age. Highly evolved, enlightened. Yama was one of them. Not Yama, Rudra was one of them. Vasishta was one of them. Narada was one of them. So there were about 13 beings who created with different roles in the world. The Sanat Kumaras were the expression of the highest evolution of human consciousness. Very pure. as if the body did not exist. They exist. Now, all these beings were so evolved, they are born enlightened. So, their attention was on the spirit, was on the self. So, they had no interest in the world. This became a problem for Prakriti because Prakriti sustains by engagement, by proliferation, by propagation, but none of them are interested. What you don't engage in, that slowly shrinks and disappears, right? The use disuse theory. So, this created a problem for the creator. He said, well, you all are my children now, metaphorically, and you should take over my business and then take it forward. Now you are leaving it to me only to continue. And then they said, that's not our problem, that's not our fault. You have designed us like this. We have no taste in the world. We know it's an illusion, and we know it's only a confusion, a matrix in there. We don't want to get there. We are happy where we are. Now, Brahma was, on one side, he has to fulfill the obligation he has taken from the Brahman, and the other side, the those whom he thought will take over are appearing to be absolutely useless. So, what should he do now? So he said, I can't figure it out. You yourself say. So he called these four wisest, the Sanat Kumaras, and said, please give a solution. And they said, look, what you have done, you have, when you created us, you have given us the knowledge of the self. You have made us self-realized. So we know what reality is and what is falsity. And you want us to go and engage in falsity, which is not possible. The mind which you have given us is entirely focused on the self. It's inward. Now just make it go outward. That's all. Just turn the mind outward of whatever next batch you create and then see the magic. So then, okay, let me try Brahma with the next batch. What he did, he just made sure the mind which was naturally turned inwards, he made it turn outwards into the word. And that was the fix. And since then, Brahma did not have to worry anything. He's just sitting and relaxed, and everything is happening by itself. This one imperfection that was induced in the creation helped the Prakriti to survive. But it is not great for the being, because the perfect being became imperfect now. The being which knew that it was the source of joy, that the self was where its home was, now started thinking the world is my home. And you see, the world promises so much joy but does not deliver it again and again. But because of the ignorance, because of the outward moving mind, most people in the world have got no idea where else to find joy. For most people in the world, joy comes only from the pleasure, from the senses. A tickling of the senses is what joy is. All the craving is for that. So when that you are asked to take them away, then they don't know where to turn. So they keep going back to the same place, hoping that next time maybe next time I'll get a little bit more, maybe a little bit more. But it promises and never delivers. And in a small subset of people who have looked through this maze and said, well, something is not, this is not the way it should have been. There is something missing here. And they said, okay, let's look into it a little bit more deeply. Again, what is the problem? Again, it's the mind. Because the mind understands only by objectifying everything. Unless you give a name and form to something, the mind cannot understand that. Now, it wants to perceive divinity, the higher power, also through a name and form. That's why even a lot of people who think they are spiritual, they're still stuck in the name and form, whether it is the form and name of a master or a god or whatever you think. These are just names given for reference. The forms are only for reference, the forms are not a reality. But you cannot relate without that name and form. So your experience or realization of the ultimate truth is limited there itself because you're trying to go through the limitation of the mind. And because of these two imperfections, the third imperfection comes. What is that? That you are not interested in the abstract. The interest in the abstract dies off very quickly because you try to understand through your limited perception that doesn't make any sense. And then you either get stuck in very limited concepts or you don't go beyond that. And these are the reasons why enlightened beings are so rare. And because of this, because of the natural flow of mind outward, enlightenment is not a natural thing. It is actually how to turn the whole mind that is going outward into inward. And remember, enlightenment is also a quality of the mind itself. The mind becoming aware of its source is enlightenment. And when it doesn't, then what happens? It is stuck outside. That is ajnana. And in that ajnana, what happens? It's just like the clouds. You never see the blue sky until the clouds give away. And that trying to blow the clouds away is your sadhana. See, whether you meditate, whether you do service, whether you have devotion, none of this will make you enlightened. None of this will take you to realization. But without them, you are still worse. You will not go even anywhere close. All these are essential because the action which you do, what they call karma yoga or service, will diminish the impressions of the mind, so the mind quietens a little bit more. The faith in the ultimate, the conviction that there is a power, there is an existence which I can't perceive but I can feel it, is bhakti. That devotion will keep you on the path, it will not make you run away. And then meditation gives you glimpses of that emptiness of your own self. So, yes, these will not make you realized, but without them, you are still very far away. These are the supporting tools. And what is the one tool which is being told will take you there is inquiry, repetitive inquiry into the nature of everything around you. Is this me? Is this me? Is this me? Oh, I think this body is me. Is it really? That inquiry into the state of affairs as it is, again and again, with a mature intellect, will help you to get to where you have to be. That is the key to self realization, repetitive and proper inquiry into your very nature. Who am I? This is what I am. Is this what I think I am? And this will help. The meditation, the company, the conversations you have with wise people, and the timelessness you feel in meditation and in the company of the enlightened. All these are the keys for you to move forward. So, last time we were looking that Yama has started to tell Nachiketa. He starts by saying that, oh Nachiketa, in front of everybody, there are two options which come, two attitudes towards life, the Shreyas and the Preyas. That which is good for you in the long run, and that which you like you because it gives you pleasure in the short run. The good and the pleasant. The one who chooses good will always reach the goal. The one who chooses just the pleasant over the good will never reach the goal. And if there are people who think they're very intelligent and say, okay, I will do a little bit of this, little bit of that also, I will balance my life. And he said, no, that will also not work. Because these are extreme paths. One is taking you towards samsara, one is taking you towards moksha. How can you mix them? They are going away. You go a few steps there, come back and get lost here. Again, you feel burdened, you come back here, feel a bit relaxed, and again you get back there. So that will not work. You will have to let go of samsara if you are desirous of freedom. Krishna tells the same in the Gita. He says, where the world ends, I begin. You can either have me or the world. You can't have both together. So he says, Vipariti Vishochi. These two paths are separate. Tam samparitya vivinakti dira. The wise is the one who is able to analyze and separate the good over the pleasant. Who chooses the pleasant? The mandha, the unintelligent one who was just for the sake of comfort, lets go of the good. He is the dullard one who will never reach the shore. Duram ite viparite vishochi avidya yacha vidyeti gnata. One will take you towards more into ignorance, the other will take you more into knowledge. So this is very important. The more you engage in the world, the more it sucks you in. That is why every now and then a little bit of withdrawal is very essential. Yes, you've got responsibilities in the world. Engage as much as you need to and then withdraw. Be with yourself, spend more time with yourself. You had enough of parties, enough of socializing now. You know how much tiring they can be. Come back. Come back to yourself. And I will tell you very soon, people around you will realize that you are not the same bird in that flock. They will just let you be after a while. But it all depends on how strong your own conviction is of being with yourself. And this is an example of this is the sadhana which you do every day when you just withdraw for a little bit and just slowly increase this withdrawal. Because the more you engage with the self, the more it becomes your home. The more you engage with the world, you make the world your home. You go to the playground to play, but then you come home and rest. Right? You spend more time at home, some time in the playground. But when you make the world your home and your spirit your playground, you only come once in a while here. Yes, you feel good when you come here, but then you move away very quickly. You get lost in the world. Avidyayam antare vartamana swayam dhira panditam manyamana. So the so-called intelligent people, what is the issue with them? They think they know it all without knowing it. So they roam around in their own mind, getting stuck in their own concepts and live a life like the blind led by the blind. And what is the problem with this? What is the problem? He says, okay, they may say, I'm happy like this. So what's the problem? He says, the problem is then they get stuck with me. They cannot cross me. Again and again, they fall into my lap. They get stuck in their concept. They get some material success. They roam around with all their arrogance and their status. And then what happens? Then they fall down in my lap. And then they come back again. What they do? They repeat the same thing again and again. They don't move beyond a particular realm. They get stuck there. So for such a person, the self does not reveal. The one who without knowing things he knows and who thinks I am loko nasti para iti mani. One who thinks this is all the world is, there is nothing beyond the material world I am looking at, for him the self will not reveal. He will never have a glimpse of the self. श्रवणायपि बहुभिर्यो न लभ्यः शृणोति अपि बहवः यं न विद्युः आश्चर्यो वक्तकुशलो अस्य लब्धा आश्चर्यज्ञाता कुशला अनुष्ठितः. First of all, there is no interest to listen to knowledge in the world generally. Knowledge is boring, abstract, it doesn't take me anywhere. But if there are people who are interested in listen, by listening many times, you may not get it. Shronato api bahavah yam na vidyuh. Even if you listen with sincerity, you may not understand it. He's questioning all that we are doing here. You see, well, you may listen to talks, you may listen to lectures, but so what? You may not get it. Listening many times, you may not understand it. Ascharyo vakta kushalo asya labdha. Indeed, wonderful is that teacher who can communicate the incommunicable, who can express the inexpressible. And even bigger wonder is what? Is that student who actually gets it. All the stories that are used, all the words that are used in expression of knowledge are only indicators. Like you want to point to a star, you point to a branch and say, can you see that branch? And then just look at the top of that branch, that star you see, that is what. The branch has got nothing to do with the star. The words are like that, they are only indicative of what the ultimate reality is. So, expressing them is also a great skill. And when expressed, getting the truth and not just the words is also another skill. You see? So, many times, if you actually go to the actual Upanishads and read them, it's not easy to get them in one go. You have to go through them again and again. But when Gurudev speaks about them, with a simple day-to-day example, it feels, oh, this is all it is. Right? That's why he says, Ascharyo Vakta Kushalo Asya Labdha. One who has got it, for him it is very easy to express and give it to you. But even when it is given, the receiver should be ready. If the receiver is not ready, he can only misinterpret and misunderstand. Yeah, you heard the story of Dakshinamurti. Yeah, so in those times, all people who were seeking higher knowledge and enlightenment would come to Kashi. There was all these discussions of knowledge or enlightened people would be there. The seat house, the headquarters of knowledge, of enlightenment for that matter. Now somebody came and said, I was in the Himalayas and I saw this young boy and just he had one glimpse at me and I got this siddhi. So everybody ran towards the Himalayas from there. And indeed that boy appeared the very next day. And they were all stunned. The timelessness and the bliss they could experience by just the boy being there was unimaginable. But he was there for a while and then he left. And then they thought it was only a few minutes, it was a few hours that they were not even aware that so much time had passed. Then they waited that he will come tomorrow, then the next day, then the next day. Months passed, he never turned up. So slowly people started leaving. And finally it was only left to these 7 people, 7 seekers who said, I have got the faith that he will come. The divine is compassionate and we have left everything. Either we get realized or we perish. There's nothing. So we will stay. And they stayed and waited and waited and waited. Apparently they waited for 84 years, it is true, for him to appear again. And what to do these 84 years? They just brushed upon their sadhana, their skills. They went into silence, went again and again and again. And they become so refined in their awareness, in their alertness, that he had to come. And when he came, he just had to look at them. And in those glances, all the knowledge of the self was transmitted to them and they become enlightened at that moment. So here it is. If you are in that depth of silence, then only a glance is required from the one who has crossed. So all the practices you do, they only keep on chipping away all the unwanted stuff. They don't do anything. So when all the unwanted stuff is chipped away, when all the clouds are pushed away, then you see the blue sky was always there. And to show that blue sky, you need the master. So that's what here he's saying. Why is it so difficult to realize the knowledge of the self? This is business. You may listen it, you may not get it. You may repeat in your mind again and again, you may still not get it. You need to be really that, like a clean mirror. So when the self is there, you can reflect. Yeah. So when I used to go to run in the UK, in my house there is near the beach. And our area is usually very cloudy most of the time. And you see the water in the sea appears black when it is cloudy. And during summer, on the days when the clouds open up and the sky becomes blue, you will see the water is also blue. Yeah. So the mind, when it is clouded by the ignorance, it always looks different, dull, dark. But the moment the clouds move away, the glory of the self is revealed in the same mind. And that's why that sadhana is so important. The silence is so important. So slowly push away these dark clouds. न नरेण आवरेण प्रोक्ता एष सुविज्ञेयः बहुधा चिन्तया मनः अनन्य प्रोक्ते गतिरत्र नास्ति अनीयान् हि अतर्क्यम् अनुप्रमाणात्. And he says, if this is taught by somebody who is steeped in the world, avarena means Maya has two aspects, avarana and vikshepa, covering and projecting the wrong thing as the right thing. He says, one who is covered in Maya. What does you mean when you covered in Maya means when you still think the real life for me is in the world only. I am not going to let go of samsara. I want everything in the samsara. But I also want little relaxation, little good health, little better sleep. So I will do some meditation, I will do some kriya. So if the teacher is also in the same mode of selling you the knowledge, saying that, if you do this, your sleep will get better, your stamina will improve, your blood pressure will come down, all these things. If you're looking from the worldly point only, using the self to uplift you in the world and not to transcend the world, then you will never realize the self. He says, if you are taught by somebody who himself is rooted in the world, then you will not get it. And you will also not get by just thinking again and again, thinking and thinking and thinking. When will you get it? Ananya prokte. One who is established in non-duality of existence. Ananya means no, na anya. Anya means the other. When the other is not there, when only you are there, when only that one principle is seen everywhere, which Krishna calls samadarshana. When that aspect comes into you, and when somebody with that quality will speak to you about the self, then gatiratra nas, then you will understand this doubtlessly. Without any doubt, you will get it. And yes, this appears a very lofty ideal, but no. Many of you may already be experiencing this, that, from a very limited perspective of finding joy only in the success of people around you, like my children, my husband, my wife, my siblings. If you are able to enjoy the success of others also, and you are not just shaken by the sorrow of people around you, but also by sorrow of everybody around you. If your compassion is not hidden in boundaries, if your joy is not limited by 2, 3, 4 people, then you are actually seeing that oneness. You're seeing the greatness in everybody. When you are able to see the divinity in everything, then you say, oh, that the same divine is singing in that person, the same divine is painting in this person, the same divine is cooking in this person. Do you see? The same divine is giving me knowledge through this person. When you are able to see that, you feel a sense of connection with everyone. There is no jealousy. There is no sense of separateness. That is the beginning of seeing that oneness in everything. And when somebody makes a mistake, seeing that I have also made this, haven't I? So seeing that oneness there also, if I can do, he could also do. Not pointing fingers at people. So ananya prokte gatiratra nasti. Aniyan hin atarkyam anupramana. Because this knowledge is very subtle. Aniyan hi anupramana. It is subtler than the subtle. Anu means atom. The smallest aspect of manifested creation is Anu. It is smaller than the smallest. Atarkyam pramana. Pramana means proof. It can't be proven with logic. Atarkyam pramana. You cannot prove it by logic. So it has to be transmitted by somebody who has actually realized. All these shlokas and talks and these things, they're all just pointers, but they don't take you there, but they help you to get an idea of what it is. And through your practices and with the connection with the one who has realized, it happens in you. न एष तर्केण मतिरापनेय प्रोक्ता अन्येन ऐव सुज्ञानाय प्रेष्ठा यम तम आपः सत्य धृतिर्बतासि त्वद्रिक् न भूया नचिकेतः पृष्टः न एष तर्केण मतिर् आपनेय. You cannot understand this by logic or by the intellect. So it can't be explained, it can't be expressed, it can't be described. It only can be transmitted. So prokta anyena aiva sugnanaya proshta. Only when it is transmitted by sugnanaya, one who is actually realized. Only when he transmits, you can get it. But then he says, "Oh Nachiketa, you are already established in the truth. Where will I find another seeker like you? I offered so much to you, but then you just put them all aside and then said, that is all I want." In the previous shloka, when he says, I will give you women, I will give you chariots, I will give you horses, he says, you keep your horses to yourself. He literally says, Nachiketa, you keep the horses to yourself, you keep your dancers to yourself. Now give me what I am asking you. That amount of conviction you have, where will I find another seeker like you? It is said that the self is only looking for one with the highest longing to reveal itself. It's only what it asks is your longing. Are you able to drop everything? Vivekananda needed just one sitting with Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, to drop everything and say, this is what, just take me in. When you are able to drop everything like that and go in, then the self says, yes, here I am. Janami aham shevadi iti anityam nahi adruvaihi prapyate hi dhruvam tat. Yama says, I know. Yama here gives a little bit insight of his own journey. This is very, very unusual in the Upanishads, where the master himself is telling where I was and how I am coming here. Tato mayah nachiketah chitah agnihi anityair dravyaihi praptavan asmi nityam. He says, oh Nachiketa, once upon a time I was also a mortal like you. And I know at that time I did not know that the anitya will not give me nitya. I know that all the material pleasures are mortal, they are transient, anityam. And I also know that you can never attain the permanent through the impermanent. So forget about it. If you're trying to seek the divine through the world, you will never get it because you're completely going in the wrong direction. In spite of that, even I went through the ritualistic path. Even I did lot of the Nachiketa which I have taught you, which will help you to get to the higher heavens. I also went through and did it many, many times. Anityair dravehi praptavan asmi nityam. I enjoyed all these transient luxuries before realizing the uselessness of them. And then I had to let go and then go beyond that. You are much better than me. You are straight away discarded them, but I didn't do like that. I went through the rituals, I did this, I did that, and I attained all the higher heavens, went through the heavens and enjoyed all the luxuries. And then I realized, why did I spend so much of time? Because this is nothing. This is all mortal. This is all that's going to finish very quickly. What I want is something that is unending. And I only got to that stage after going through all these stages of ignorance. कामस्य आप्तिं जगतः प्रतिष्ठा क्रतोरनन्त्यम् अभयस्य पारं स्तोम महत्तुरुगायां प्रतिष्ठां दृष्ट्वा धृत्य धीरो नचिकेतः अत्यस्राक्षिः. He is just in superlatives, he is singing his praise because he is saying, I am now an immortal, but you know what? You have taken the shortcut to it. I have took such a long route to come there. And now he says, what all did I not give you? Jagatah Pratishtha, what is the foundation of the universe? The world in which we are living, what is it standing on? Fulfillment of joy, isn't it? All that we want is joy, fulfillment of joy. If nobody wanted any joy, any desires, the world would collapse because nobody would engage with the world. You engage with the world because you think there is joy, and when I go there and do it, I will get something out of it. Kamasya aptim jagatah pratishta. Kamasya aptim means even those desires which you cannot even think of, that I offer to you. You know, if you ask somebody who is always hungry, what all do you want to ask? What can he ask? He can only ask a few different varieties of dishes because his world is not beyond that. He's always seeking some nice food and he's not getting it. And he says, just give me 10 dishes, that is fine for me. So he's telling, Nachiketa, what you cannot even imagine, that many pleasures I give it to you. Kamasya apti. Krator anantyam. I offered you so much of punya as well. You know, you could have asked for so many other things which would have given you so much punya to roam around in heavens for so long. I gave you infinite lifespan. Abhayasya param. I gave you the keys to some of the heavens where there is no fear. Stoma mahaturagayam pratishtam drishtva. All that is worth having, all that we really cherish in our life, work so hard, run behind in our life, all that I gave you. Anything that can be attained in the material world, I had offered it to you. But what did you do? Dhira, Dhritya, Nachiketa, Atyas Rakshihi. But you saw through the illusion of all of them straight away. You saw how useless they all were. And then what did you do? You rejected them straight away. Being wise, you rejected all with firm resolve. This word dhira comes in this Upanishad again and again. Dhira means that person in whom the four pillars are very strong. The four pillars of knowledge. The qualified seeker is the dhira. The little meaning of dhira, the common meaning is the brave person, the courageous one. But yes, you have to be courageous as well. To say no to all that Yama offered, you need tremendous courage and tremendous conviction in what you are asking. So he says, Dhira, Dhira Nachiketa, you have firmly rejected all that I offered to you. And now the real Upanishad begins. Okay, until here it was all just prologue and getting the stage ready. Now the setting is ready. Now, after testing him, after praising him, now he says, now let me get into the real business. Just like they give an executive summary in one or two shlokas, he tells what self is. And then in the next section, he goes along elaborating on it. Tam durdarsham gudham anupravishtam guhatitam gahvareshtam puranam adhyatma yoga adigamena devam matva dhiro harsha shokau jahati. Durdarsham means it is difficult to perceive. Darshan means just seeing, but it basically means seeing through all the senses. It is difficult to perceive through the senses. Gudham, it is a secret, but it's like an open secret. It's like the space all around you. It's always there, but you never pay attention to it. Gudham anupravishtam. See, when you sit and do the hollow and empty, Gurudev tells again and again, your nose is hollow and empty. Your muscles are hollow and empty. Your foot pipe is hollow and empty. We never put any focus. We always thought this is a solid body. But when you look into it a little more deeply, all that you call solid is floating in that space. There is so much space and so little solid. So, Gudam Anupravishtam, it is seated within the same space which we are. It is right there. But you need to take your attention there. You only take your attention to all the solid aspects of it, the material aspect, but you have ignored the space which is there, always been there. Guhatitam Gahvareshtam Puranam, it is very ancient. It is eternal. Gahvareshtam, where is it seated? Right in the middle of all the misery called the mind. In that very mind, you can see this divinity. Gahvareshtam, amidst the finite, miserable matter, the divinity is seated. That self is there. It is nowhere. You don't have to go anywhere. It is right there. The sky is always there. Right there. It has never moved. It's never gone anywhere. And how do you get it? How do you realize that? Adhyatma yoga adigamena. You need all these practices, Adhyatma Yoga. Meditate, serve, get into knowledge, have faith. All these are part of the Adhyatma Yoga. Through the help of Adhyatma Yoga Adhigamena, Matva Dhiraha, the Dhira, the qualified one, Matva, once he realizes this through his continuous and persistent sadhana, Harsha Shokau Chahati. He goes beyond the duality of pleasure and pain. The material world is steeped in duality. I like it, I don't like it. This is good, this is wrong. He should do it, he should not do it. I want this, I don't want this. Everything you put it in two categories, pleasure and pain, light and dark. And here he says, you go beyond that. See, in sleep, is sleep pleasurable or painful? Sleep, there is neither pleasure nor pain. Because both you experience in the mind only, isn't it? Through the mind. When the mind sleeps, there is no pleasure or pain. Right? So in sleep, there is no pleasure or pain. Same in samadhi, same in meditation. So why meditation is helpful? Because in meditation, you get a glimpse of that which is beyond the mind. That which is beyond pleasure. See, here he is not saying you only go beyond pain. He is saying you're going to move beyond pleasure and pain. Etat shrutva samparigrahya martya pravrahya dharmyam anum etam apyam sa modate modaneyam hi labdva vivrutam sadma nachiketasam manye. A mortal, martya means a mortal, a human being who, having heard what I have said and fully understood and realized, pravrahya dharmyam anum etam apyam, through the eyes of discrimination, when he is found the way to separate anum apyam means the gross, anum is the subtle. Anum and apyam, gross and the subtle, the shreyas and the preyas, the permanent and the impermanent, the manifest and the unmanifest. One who is able to look through, this is what it is, this is what it is. You are sitting, a thought comes to your mind. Then you say, oh, what a wonderful thought, what a wonderful idea. And then sometimes an ugly thought, a stupid thought comes. And then you say, oh, what a stupid thought. When you are able to discriminate and say, oh, this is a wonderful thought, maybe it's worth acting upon it. Oh, what a stupid thought, let it pass. That power of viveka, that discrimination when it comes in you. Sa modate modaniyam hi labdva. He is not seeking joy, he realized that he is joy. He has realized that he is the source of joy, but he was looking for it somewhere else. For such a person, Vivrutam Sadma Nachiketasam, oh Nachiketa, you are like that. So such a person like you, Nachiketa, the doors of the Brahman are open. See, now he is saying, now I can take you there. Whatever you asked me, now I am taking you there because you are qualified. You are eligible to understand or realize this. Now Nachiketa asks this. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatra smat krita akritat, anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha, yat tat pashyasi tam vada. He's telling, stop giving all these introductions. Just tell me what it is. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat. That which is beyond dharma and adharma. I heard people talking about right and wrong. I've also heard people talking about karma, the cause and effect. And I've also heard people talking about that which has happened, that which may happen. Beyond these opposites, if there is something, tell me. Yat tat pashyasi tat vada. What you see, tell me that. What I cannot see and what you see. Please tell me that. Show me that what you can see, which I am still not able to see. Sarve veda yad padam amananti. Tapasmi sarvani cha yad vadanti yat ichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam Sangrahena bravimi Om iti etat. He says there is nothing more is needed. You will know Om, you know existence, you know divinity, you know Brahman. All that is to be known. All language is in Om. All the three states of consciousness and the fourth is also in Om. Every aspect, all the gunas are in Om. Everything is hidden inside Om. How is it? He will start explaining. That we will see next time. Okay? Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkhabhat Bhavet. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om Namah Shivaya.